County wind project, so we just had a couple questions.
Yeah, definitely. I did get your questions ahead of time, and I had the chance to look through and prepare some answers, but unfortunately, I actually was not around during the wind development at our office. My boss was, but he got called to another meeting. So I'm going to do my best to answer the questions based on what I know. And if there is anything that you guys need more clarification on, I can always get the answers from him and follow up with an email.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Ms. Honor. All right. So, for our start-off question, did the current... Oh, I'm Isidore, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Did the current unemployment rate at the beginning of Gratiot County Community Foundation affect the GREAT Plan? How has a $65,000 grant to help the GREAT Plan overall?
The GREAT Plan was the county-wide master plan that we did. And the reason that we received a grant is because all units of government within the county, so that's cities, townships, and the county itself, decided to come together and do one plan for the whole county. And this plan basically sets in motion what they want to see for their county in terms of industry, so that's ag, manufacturing, and wind was also brought up. Part of what my boss wanted me to relate is that the master plan didn't happen as a result of wind development, and wind development didn't happen as a result of the master plan. They just happened together at the same time. And they did benefit each other because you could learn from the experiences and put them into each. But there wasn't this needed to be before that.
Okay.
So the current unemployment rate, I looked it up and it hasn't changed much since that master plan was finished. We usually hold steady at about 9%. So, and we're a rural community, so that's expected.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Christine.
Hi, nice to meet you.
My question was, who contributed to the final decision to use wind energy in your county?
Well, the final decision basically came from each of the governmental units approving the countywide master plan, and them approving it, that meant, okay, we can do this.
Sorry.
On another level, that meant meeting with 21 different township cities and governments, and everyone approved it. And now I lost my thought. Part of the process was, in leading up to that governmental approval, was getting the public very engaged. The wind developers came in, they immediately connected with the community and addressed the community's issues with public forums, good or bad. They didn't hide some of the effects of wind farms that might not be great, but they also told them that, yeah, there's a lot of income that comes from this. So the community really had a chance to decide for themselves whether they wanted to participate. And we had very little negative reaction because of the way that was pursued. We've had a few, kind of random complaints, and some of them are valid and some of them are not valid, but almost always we can address them.
Thank you.
And, I guess I'll start off by saying what exactly our role was in wind development, because I didn't really do that. We are economic development for the county, so we work on behalf of the entire county in retaining and expanding the current businesses and industry that exist, and that part of that was bringing wind development in. So our office was a central location for coordination during wind development, and we also were, on the governmental side, we were very helpful in trying to put out the master plan and the wind ordinance. So we were kind of a central location for both the wind developers, the government, and the citizens to all meet. So I don't know not a lot of people know what economic development is, so that's the best way I can explain it. So if you have any questions about what our actual role was too, just let me know.
Hi, I'm Megan. And my question was, what were the specific development plans in terms of workers and space needed that went into the building and development of the wind farm?
Well, before the turbine locations were determined, there is a Met Tower that
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sabrina, and my question is, how much revenue is made from using wind energy instead of fossil fuels?
And that actually is a question I cannot answer because that's specific to each wind company, and they consider that proprietary information based on, you know, how much they're saving, how much they're making off of it. So I can't answer that. I don't know. That would be a company or a question you would have to address to each company. I can see if I can find maybe someone that could give you a general term, but there's a few questions in here that are going to be the same way. So I'll just say that for the same. They just don't really want to hand out their formula for success to others, companies.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Andre.
Hi.
My question was, did you consider or do you use any other type of green energy?
Currently in the county, there are many farmers who have installed solar arrays on their land, and they find that this is lower cost and more efficient. And I can get you more information if you're interested in that. We are in the process of looking at an old landfill site that the county just recently obtained. Obviously, we can't use that for any other development because it would not be safe. So we are looking at possibly putting a solar array there and maybe an individual wind turbine. So that's kind of where our focus is right now, is the solar area.
Hi, I'm Eric. I was wondering,
Hi.
how much has Gratiot County grown since the Great Plan, the formation of Gratiot County Communication Foundation?
The Gratiot County Community Foundation was a partner in the Great Plan. It's actually a grant awarding agency that takes a role in looking at the betterment of our county. So they played a role, and they have grown significantly, but I don't know if we could track their progress with the Great Plan, essentially. Something that I can tell you is that we are very fortunate in that we're a smaller rural community. We have a population of 42,000 in the whole county. And our largest city is just under 10,000. We have not had to cut the expenses that many other smaller communities have, such as police and fire rescue, roads, you know, minimizing our government. We've been able to maintain those and even grow them in some cases. So that's good for us. It protects our future. And another thing I want to mention is the wind turbines each pay tax revenue. And so for a lot of places, such as Breckenridge Schools, they were just able to pass a technology millage. And the majority of that millage is paid for from the turbines and allows every student to have a laptop. So you're integrating technology into schools, but that benefits your future workforce because they are better able to use computers and look at career opportunities that maybe weren't open to them before. So things like that.
Hi, I'm Tyler. My question, you already answered this somewhat. It's how much has your unemployment decreased as a result of the wind farms?
As a result of the wind farm, the greatest employment we saw was 300 temporary, or 200 from Gratiot County Wind Farms temporary workers and 100 from the BB project. And that was just a temporary injection into our economy where people were here, they were spending money at restaurants, they were spending money at the downtown shopping. So that was a real boost for a lot of people. Right now that the construction is done, there's about, between the 3 maintenance facilities, there's 21 full-time people employed, and those are skilled jobs, so those are really crucial to our base employment. But because it's such a small number, it doesn't have a great effect on our employment rate. What I would like to say is the investment from wind was used to secure a grant that would, from the state, that would complete the infrastructure in our Breckenridge Industrial Park, and that currently employs 50 full-time people. And for Breckenridge, it's a very small village. It's almost 10% of their total labor force. So that makes a huge difference to them, especially because it's skilled, reliable work that it makes a huge difference in such a small community. And really, you could also say that the land payments that the wind companies pay out also have a spin-off effect in the economy, that people are, with that extra money, people can shop, people can eat at restaurants, and that leads to more development in those areas.
I'm Zach. My question is, what is the outlook for the future of wind energy in Gratiot County?
Well, we just had one significant expansion I mentioned earlier. We had 21 wind turbines added to our BB community wind park. So that takes that total up to 55. We are definitely looking for opportunities to continue to expand our current wind farms. We also have in the southwest corner of our county a permitted wind park, so that pretty much, is all set to go as soon as they would have someone to purchase the power. So we're hoping that will become a lot of people wind park, and that would be great for us. And in terms of the future, what happens after 20 years when the land leases come out or are expired. And probably, it could go both ways. They could be decommissioned and taken down, or they could be improved with the modern technology that exists 20 years from now. So is that kind of what you were asking?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, great. Yep.
My name is Bryce, and what are the current statistics regarding efficiency of the wind turbines?
That is something I have to connect with the wind companies with. I didn't get a chance to yesterday, but I will try to get a hold of them and send those individually by email to your teacher, and he can hopefully get you the answers to that. I know it's high, but I couldn't give you a quote, so I'll have to get back with you on that one.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Drew, and
Yep.
do seasonal changes affect the production of the turbines?
That is another thing that I'm going to ask them at the same time, because I do know that, one of the turbines was hit by lightning. It was inoperable for a long time, but luckily it was the same turbine that they're expanding on, so they were just able to bring in a new blade and replace it. But during construction, they weren't able to do any work when there was lightning forecasted. And so those things do affect them, and they do monitor that. Each turbine is connected to an internal system that they can switch on and off whenever they need to, based on wind, based on if there's a tornado, that type of thing. So I'll try and get more detailed information on that too. I'm not sure how the winter affects them, except that they do run. So I just passed them today and they were running.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Hello again. All right. So regarding farmers or owners of land with turbines on their private property, do you have any information regarding their personal feelings or gains or negatives of having turbines on their property?
Did you guys watch the wind video that I think I sent? It focused solely on Gratiot County, but it had a couple of major landowners there that were talking about it, and generally it's very favorable. They are compensated for the loss of farmland, the majority of the land that it's on where it was farmland. They're compensated for the use of the land and the missed crops. Also, I think they're favorable because when the development process occurred, it wasn't everybody has to be willing to have a turbine. They were able to choose, yes, I want to, yes, no, I don't. And that didn't inhibit anybody else from doing it, and it didn't make them do it. So it was very much a your call type of thing. We've had some complaints, just kind of not from actual people that have the turbines. And those have been very random and scattered. I feel like I've been here for 3 years, and I think we've had 2 complaints in that regard, but it's just kind of more of a, well, I kind of want one on my land now type of thing, you know. We have had one person who complained about the shadow flicker that can, you know, that's one of the issues. And she worked with the wind company, and they just decided, well, we won't turn that wind turbine on during that time of day, and that'll stop a flicker for you. You know, it's probably 2 hours whenever the sun is shining, but that's what they did to help her. So the community level of it, I think, really assisted in everyone having a positive experience that I know of that has been approached to me.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Also, okay, on a different subject, you said that there's been 21 turbines built in the past year, or?
Yeah, just started in June, and they're going through the test to get them up and running right now. And that was because we do have 2 wind farms. We have Gratiot County Wind, which is our largest, and that's 133. And then BB Community Wind is more south of the Gratiot County Wind farms, even though they do overlap a little bit. And they did have 34 turbines. They now have 55 with the 21 additional.
Wow. So
yeah, so it's good.
Do you plan on expanding the program more, or like you said, on the solar panels and the solar array over the landfill issue? Which has the most focus right now?
From our role, basically the wind development and our participation is pretty much done. We've put the regulations in. At this point, it's up to the companies to decide if it's financially makes sense for them to continue to add more. We do have the southwest corner of the county that we're trying to continue and make that developable. But we are starting to focus on the solar array because that hasn't been done. So our role there is just beginning.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hi again.
Hi.
Do any other counties or states show interest in plans like yours?
We do get a lot of kind of random cold calls, I'll call them, and they'll say, you know, how come we don't see negative press about Gratiot County? And how can we make this work for us? Can you come speak at this function? And those are mainly directed at my boss. So I don't know what he actually ends up telling them, but we do get a lot of interest. A lot of people are also amazed at the level of collaboration that exists in our community, but with a community leader participate on a state level unless you do join together to make a significant impact. Because you're talking about a community with an influence of 10,000 people versus a county with an influence of 40,000. So there's a lot more influence if you do work together in our area.
Okay. And how did the Great Plan interest wind energy developers?
I think, if anything, as I said, it wasn't really, they weren't connected, but they did happen at the same time. If anything, it really showed them that this was a community that collaborates. This is a community that's looking to preserve its future. And this is a community that works together to find those solutions. And that is what led to eventually the countywide wind energy ordinance, which made it very easy for them to do business in Gratiot County because they didn't have to look from township to township at the different regulations. It was all the same, and they only had to agree to one set. So that made it really easy and efficient for them to come in and do that. And I think that's pretty much it for my notes here. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
You've kind of answered this like throughout the other questions, but are there any more negative or positive aspects about the energy in your county?
We don't get too many negative things in our county, but we do see them at the statewide level. We were asked to participate in a wind forum last year, which was held for the state of Michigan, and there were protesters there. So the only reason I can say that we probably don't have that level of resistance is because we really, as I said, we went through a community process, and that really brought anybody in. It talked about their concerns, and it really made them feel heard. And I would say a lot of the resistance that you see is people just want to feel heard and want the things addressed. And so if you're addressing them and telling them what's going to happen, because there's a certain level of uncertainty, I think it's going to go over a lot better.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Since implementing the wind turbines, has it caused an effect on wildlife?
I believe that it has not significantly affected that, but that again is something I'm going to have to contact each of the maintenance facilities for, because I couldn't give you exact statistics, but it hasn't been a great impact, I can tell you that. But I will get you more specific data if I can.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
My other question is, whatever the land was used for before the wind turbines were placed, what happened to that land and what was on that land?
I would say the majority of the turbines were on farmland. So the farmers were compensated for the loss of their crops. And another thing that you have to think about is it's not just the turbine and the turbine foundation, which in itself is huge, but each turbine has a road that leads up to it, a dirt road, so that people can access it to go maintain, for any maintenance issues that happen. And you'll see a lot of that. You'll see trucks out there. And there's also electrical wires that they had to dig up the land to put the electrical wires and connect it to the grid. So that money, the use of that land is all compensated. So you're compensated for the use and the cost of missed crops. What those payments are, I think that's asked a little bit later. We can't say it. That's proprietary as well. We can just equate it to the total land payments would equal if a new facility came to our area and employed 25 people in terms of the spin-off effect in the local economy. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since most of the land in the city is used for farming and forestry, is this transition to wind-powered turbines in electricity-based systems hard?
I assume you're talking about the electrical upgrades and infrastructure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, there are lines that connect each turbine to the grid. They're a very community-minded company, ITC, handled the electrical upgrades and infrastructure in our area. So they upgraded anything that was necessary, and they also installed 4 substations to handle the increased electric load. I believe 2 of them are in the county. No, 3 of them are in the county, and 1 of them is just outside. And so that would, transmit the power to DTE, which obviously is in Detroit. So there was a certain amount of, construction and upgrades needed, but it wasn't difficult. I think they had a pretty good plan for how to handle that.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Since the wind industry and turbines is so successful in Gratiot County, why wouldn't you suggest a lot of other cities to hop on board with this and start it in their own cities, such as why not? Should we hop on board with this?
It was very successful, and I would say that's for 2 reasons. One, we had the wind. We had the wind power to sustain that. And that's true for us and a few other areas of Michigan, a little along the coast. But other than that, there's not a significant amount of wind. I can email your teacher a map that we use. Second, our community is very small and very rural. That means that we're not densely populated, and we have a lot of open land and open space. For each turbine, there's a setback requirement of about 1,000 feet that no residents can live can be in that area for safety purposes, obviously. So commercial scale, such as this, 100 turbines, really wouldn't work for an urban area. But you could maybe look at small scale individual projects that may, a company might just want to try to lower their energy costs or something like that. That might be more feasible. I'm not the expert or anything on that, but that was just our experience and why it worked for us. Yep.
We're on a time restraint here, and we have to wrap it up. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But thank you again for your time. This was very useful. We can use all of this in our project.
Yeah. Let me know if you have any other questions. I am available by email, and I will try to get those questions that I mentioned from the wind companies as soon as possible to you if I can get that data. So if there's any other questions, you can follow up with me through email. But thanks for your interest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye.